Hey, Daddy, want to play Star Wars with me?
Sure.
You can be a Luke.
This is Luke Skywalker.
I don't have him with me.
The years have not been kind. Okay.
And I'm Ray.
You're Ray.
Ray has never danced before and she wants to be a dancer.
Okay.
She does a giant leap, spins around 3 times in the leap, and lands in a perfect split.
Oh. Well, apparently you don't need my training. I'll just die then. So we've got a lot of Star Wars news to get through, and we're going to pour right into it. We have 4 big items. The first would be Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox. The second would be the trailer release of the Clone Wars series at Comic-Con. The third would be the Episode 9 cast list has been posted. And the fourth would be that Episode 9 has started filming. So we're going to deal with these one by one. We'll start with the 20th Century Fox acquisition. And I'm going to ask you, Lainey, what does the 20th Century Fox acquisition by Disney mean to you?
Nothing.
Exactly. That's pretty much what I thought you would say. And it's really not a huge thing for Star Wars. I'll get into what I think maybe Star Wars would be concerned about there. But the big thing is you go to the Avengers movies, right? You've seen the Avengers movies. You've seen Ant-Man. You've seen Thor. There's other Avengers out there. The X-Men and the Fantastic Four are Avengers, but we haven't been able to see them in Avengers movies because they were owned by a different studio. They were owned by 20th Century Fox. Now Disney has acquired, they've bought 20th Century Fox, so now they own the rights to those characters and they can be part of the Avengers too. That's probably the biggest piece of it. As far as Star Wars goes, the original Star Wars, all the Star Wars movies were originally distributed by 20th Century Fox. Then Disney bought them all, but they couldn't own the original. They couldn't own Episode 4, A New Hope, because 20th Century Fox owned that forever. Now that Disney has bought 20th Century Fox, they own that film too. So all the Star Wars films are in one place now. The big thing here could be that maybe we will finally get a release of the original versions of the first 3 Star Wars films, Episode 4, 5, and 6, because all we've had to this point are the special editions. And so maybe they'll finally release the original versions of the films in the way that I saw them as a kid, that you've never actually seen them, because Disney could do that. And it would be a good moneymaker for Disney. There's a lot of people who would buy them, and I think it would be smart business on Disney's part to do that. My little hope would be that they put the 20th Century Fox fanfare back on the front of all the Star Wars movies, because to me, that's as much a part of the movie as the John Williams score, and it should be there. So I want that. Remember when we went to the Star Wars concert, they played the 20th Century Fox fanfare, and everybody applauded, and you asked me why. That's why, because it's part of that film, and it belongs there. So that's probably the biggest pieces of that. And there's another little thing where Star Wars is I think it's the National Film Institute in the Smithsonian. The original Star Wars is supposed to be a part of that. And George Lucas, when he submitted the film, submitted the special edition. And they wouldn't accept it. So it's still actually not there. So now maybe that film will finally get there, because they'll send it in the original version, the version that they awarded that placement to. So that's that piece of news. Now let's talk Clone Wars. I think it was the San Diego Comic-Con, they released a trailer for Clone Wars. Now, I don't know if you know the history of it, but when Disney purchased Star Wars, they just canceled the Clone Wars series. They ended it, and there was no closure to it. It sort of ended very open-ended with no resolutions to a lot of the storylines that were going on. And that upset a lot of the fans, because it was a good series with good storytelling and people were very invested in it, and then that was it was done. So they've basically come out and said, nope, we're going to finish it, we're bringing it back, here it is. What does that mean to you?
I'm not really interested in Clone Wars like we talked about the animation in another video, but I'm excited for you because I know you really like it.
Right, and that's true. And you've said that you don't care for the animation style, it's not something you're into, but you're basically saying you're excited for me and the other fans of the series that we'll get to see it end. And I think that's important. I think this is a big step on Disney's part to kind of make amends to the fans, because between canceling Clone Wars and the storyline and all the things that went with The Last Jedi that people were upset about, I really do think they're trying to take steps to mend fences with the fans. In the trailer, you see Anakin, obviously before he becomes Darth Vader. We see Obi-Wan, Rex, and Ahsoka is there. So I'm hopeful that there's going to be closure to all those storylines, and it brings everything to a point where the fans will be satisfied with the ending, and we actually get an ending this time. Next, the Episode 9 cast list was officially posted. Okay, on the cast list were Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, and Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. So, we'll deal with each one of these characters in turn. We're going to start with Princess Leia because I know she's one of your favorites and you wanted to know how that was going to work out. I'm going to tell you what was said and get your reaction. So J.J. Abrams said that when they were writing it, they couldn't figure out a way to tell the story of Episode 9 without Princess Leia and Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia being a part of that story. They just couldn't figure out a way to do it without her being a part of the story. So what they're going to do is they're going to take unused footage from Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and they're going to use that to give Princess Leia a role in the film and Carrie Fisher in that role. So what do you think about that?
I don't know what to think.
How come?
Because I didn't really like Force Awakens.
All right.
And Leia, they said that Leia, they were going to use footage from The Force Awakens for Leia. I don't know how that's going to turn out.
Well, if I understand what you're saying, you're concerned because how is that footage going to fit into this episode?
Yeah.
You know, because it was already done before this episode was written. The fact that J.J. Abrams was the one that did Episode 7 and he's now the one that's doing Episode 9, he knows what footage he has. So maybe they were able to craft the story in such a way that he could work that footage in. So we'll give him that and see what he can do. But I understand your concerns. I have the same concerns. I also, Carrie Fisher had admitted that she hadn't acted in a long time when she came to do Episode 7, and she was a little rusty. So it certainly wasn't the comfortable animated performance that she gave in The Empire Strikes Back. Episode 7 was much more efforted for her, and the footage, I don't know what it is, but the director knows what he has, and he's the writer, so hopefully he's got something there. There was no mention of using any footage from Episode 8, so I don't know what the situation is with that. I'm sure there's some footage from Episode 8, but maybe I have not heard that they're going to use any of that. And that could be just because J.J. Abrams doesn't know what the footage is and knows what he can use from Episode 7. So that's that. Next would be, let's talk about Lando next. The original Lando from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Billy D. Williams, will be coming back in Episode 9. Thoughts on that?
I'm excited for that because I like both of those movies, and he's the original one that's going to be playing it. And so I think it's cool that he's the one that was playing then, but now he's going to play too.
Right. And I'm very excited about it. I've said before, Lando, other than Han, Lando was my favorite character. I wanted Lando to be the part that Maz played in Force Awakens. I really wanted to see Lando in that role instead. I thought that, after everything happened with Return of the Jedi and he lost Cloud City, he didn't have that anymore. I really thought he would have gone back to his scoundrel ways and he would have set up an operation someplace, and it would have made sense that when Han said to Rey and Finn, I know how we'll get BB-8 back to the Resistance. I mean, that's not the words he said, but he basically said, I know somebody. I know how we can get him back there. He would have gone to Lando. because Lando would have been the one that would have had the underground connection. So I think that bar could have been Lando's bar, and that would have been a great way to get him into the story. Not having done that, they're going to bring him back now. What I'm very hopeful that they'll do is that they'll give him a good storyline. It won't be a cameo. It will be a role, and a good role, and they'll serve the character well. I think that this is part of Disney trying to make amends to the fans. So I think, they won't kill him off, I hope, because that would be a mistake. We saw that with what they did in Last Jedi. And they'll give him a good part to play in the story. So let's deal with Mark Hamill now. They did not keep it a mystery. People thought they might not announce it and it might be like a surprise or something. They've said that Mark Hamill is coming back as Luke Skywalker. How do you think they're going to do that? How do you think he's going to come back?
From The Last Jedi, when he force projected himself with the fight with Kylo Ren, I think he's going to come back as a Force ghost.
Because it was basically shown that he perished. He dissolved into the Force, and we assume he perished because he put out so much energy to Force project himself. So you think that he's gone and he's going to come back as a Force ghost. Right. I think you're right. I agree with that. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda were Force ghosts in different films. I think the difference here is going to be that Luke Skywalker is going to have a much more significant role as a Force ghost than Obi-Wan or Yoda ever did. I think that J.J. Abrams set up all these storylines in Force Awakens that were not addressed in The Last Jedi, and he's going to use Luke in Episode 9 the way he thought Rian Johnson would use him in Episode 8 so he's going to fill a role that J.J. envisioned him having in Episode 8. He's going to use him as a Force ghost to do those things. So whatever it was, if J.J. thought that Luke's going to train Rey and do all these things and he's going to have a real lightsaber, whatever it was, he's going to do it in Episode 9, I think. And so I think Luke is going to be in there a lot. And I think, again, that's going to be to make the fans happy. That's my theory. Whether it's right or wrong, who knows? But I'm hopeful that that's what they will do. Lastly, they have started filming Episode 9. They started on August 1st. Are you excited that they're starting to film Episode 9?
I don't really know what to feel, because Solo was good, and I really liked it, but Last Jedi and Force Awakens, not so much. So,
Right.
Kind of in the middle.
Right. I agree with you. I had no desire whatsoever to see Episode 9. And Disney's marketing plan is working a little bit because they've announced that Lando's going to be in it. They've announced that Luke Skywalker will be back. They're going to use Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. They're doing a lot of things in order to try to get us to give them another chance, try to get us to come out and see Episode 9 and what have you. The interesting thing here was, and I showed you the picture, J.J. Abrams, when they started filming, he put out a picture on Twitter, and the picture is, what's in focus is the camera. That's in focus, and then there's a blurry image of what the camera is focused on, and that's Finn. It's the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and Finn is in there, and somebody's seated, and we can't see their face. Maybe Rey, I'm not sure. Definitely Finn. But what's in focus is the camera. And on the side of the camera, what did we notice?
We noticed that number 7 and 9 were on the camera.
Right. There's an image and it shows the Roman numeral 7 and the Roman numeral 9 on the camera, meaning Episode 7 and 9. Now that could be a very, very simple, basic answer, which is this is the same crew and director that filmed Episode 7 and they're filming Episode 9. I don't think that's it. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just put 9 on the camera? I think this is, again, a subtle type of statement from Disney basically saying, we know that Episode 8 didn't make you happy. We're going to try to get back to where we were headed when we started Episode 7 and bring things back to there. And we have to remember, when George Lucas set out to do this saga all those years ago, it was one film, and that film was supposed to be a celebration of or an homage to the Flash Gordon films and the Buck Rogers films that he loved as a kid. It was supposed to be space opera, adventure, swashbuckling, fun. Force Awakens, even though I wasn't crazy about the film, it did have that kind of an atmosphere to it. We were trying to get back to that swashbuckling, fun kind of film. Episode 8 went in completely a different direction. And so I really feel like they're trying to say, you know, we're going to try to bring it back and we're going to try to get here. They've got a lot of work to do, and how they're going to fix it is very interesting. But hopefully they will do that. The biggest thing I hope is that they just tell a good story. If it's a good story and they use the characters in that story, I think a lot of people will be very happy. So that's it. Any final thoughts from you?
Yes. Yummy with the news for you, edible with this news for you, or crummy with the news for you?
I'm actually kind of, I think it's yummy news for the most part. All the news seems yummy to me. I'm scared that I'm saying that. How about for you?
Edible news.
Edible news for you.
But that's because Clone Wars, okay, Leia out now, and yeah.
So you have a lot of questions. That makes sense that you would say edible. I'm an optimist, so I'm going to hope for the best and say yummy. Okay. And I suppose if you and Colton really want to see episode 9, you could probably force me to take you.